welcome to In Conservation, the podcast of the Wildlife Trust for Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Northamptonshire. My name is Sophie Baker and I'm the editor of our members magazine Local Wildlife and host of the podcast. This episode is all about Meadows, a wildlife-rich and beautiful man-made habitat at its peak in the summer, and why, for all its flowery, grass-billowing and invertebrate-rich beauty, we have to mow it all down every year. We always get a lot of comments from visitors about what a shame this is through July and August, as these thriving grasslands look to be decimated and their inhabitants seemingly left with nowhere to go. But it's not all as it seems. Join me on a walk around a small corner of our wonderful Trumpington Meadows Nature Reserve, where I chat to my colleague Becky to explore what it is that makes this necessary, how we manage this process mindfully, and how the species that live there have adapted to this annual cut. If you want to directly support all the work we do looking after the wildlife and wild places of Beds, Cams and Northants, please consider donating to our Wilder Future Fund at wildlifebcn.org/Wilder Future Fund. A little bit more about that later, but for now, let's get going with this episode. So, we're here at Trumpington Meadows.
Yeah, we are. Welcome.
Actually in the meadows at the moment.
Yeah, we are right in the thick of it.
Waist high.
Yep, in this bit anyway.
And surrounded by crickets and I don't know if that comes across on the microphones actually, but it's a proper chorus.
Yeah, it would be lovely if it did, wouldn't it? Because it really is something to hear when they're all buzzing away.
Yeah.
It's like the real sound of a meadow, you know, in this time of summer.
Yes, and it's a very hot day today.
It's very warm.
So everything really does feel like it's alive in this sort of slightly sheltered grass, and there's so many butterflies flitting about as well, which is lovely to see because I feel like there's been a sort of absence of them in quite a lot of places.
Yeah, that's right. They had a really bad year last year, butterflies. I think it was the worst year on record, or one of the worst years on record, because very wet spring. So yeah, they really struggled, and this year they seem to have bounced back maybe a little bit, but I don't know what the exact sort of figures are, but certainly here they seem to be having an okay year, I think. You can see there's a skipper there, the little orange one skipping through the meadow.
That's right. They're much smaller than you sort of think of a sort of classic butterfly in your imagination.
Yeah, they look a bit like moths in some ways. I think.
Yeah, they do
moths sometimes, but
something about the way their wings move.
Yeah. And when they rest on flowers as well, the way they hold their wings is a bit more moth-like. But yeah, fantastic. And we saw some marbled whites earlier as well, which have just sort of emerged in the last week or so, and they're lovely.
Fresh.
Yeah, really good.
Marbled whites.
Yeah.
So we're here, and this is the other side. I've never actually been over this side of Trumpington Meadows. No.
Oh, fantastic.
I've only ever been the side which is the other side of the
M11.
M11.
Yeah,
that's right. It cuts through, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So the nature reserve is it's 58 hectares, and it is cut almost exactly in half by the M11. So we've got what we call the north side and the south side. The north side being closer to our offices and all the houses and things of Trumpington and Trumpington Meadows. And then the south side is a little bit more remote. There's no nearby car park. People have to walk or bike to get down here. So it's a little bit quieter, a little bit more like a traditional nature reserve than the north, which gets, a bit busier. So it's lovely.
Yeah.
I'm pleased to be able to show it to you.
Yeah, it's very exciting. But it is very accessible to people that live, because Trumpington Meadows sort of characterised by the fact that it was... Right. How does that actually work? Because it's to do with the housing development, isn't it? Was it sort of linked to that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it was purchased a fair while ago now by a company called Grosvenor, who wanted to build houses on part of the land, and then they developed the nature reserve to go hand in hand with the housing development there. So Trumpington Meadows wouldn't exist without the development of the houses. And then Grosvenor brought us in to manage the nature reserve, and eventually, we own it now. So,
yes. That happened quite recently, didn't it?
Yeah,
the actual kind of like handover.
Yeah. It took quite a while in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just last year, so we've had ownership of it for a year now. So
wow,
look at that big spider.
Oh wow, yeah. What's that? That's sort of it's knitted together a load of grass stalks, hasn't it?
I think it's a nursery web spider.
I'm
not an expert on spiders. I used to be very scared of spiders, but since working here, I've I've started to appreciate them a lot more. And now I'm fine. What's it called when you immersion therapy?
Yeah,
you're just surrounded by them at all times.
Yeah, and when you're standing in a meadow, there's really not much you can do, is there, to get away to get away from them? It's inevitable.
I have just seen, I think, like a deer fly buzzing around.
Oh no, let's move.
So let's move. Yes, there's not many things that freak me out in the natural world in this country.
Yeah,
we're very lucky.
Yeah,
there's not that many things, but deer flies and horse flies.
It's because they chase you.
Yes, they really do.
Which is quite frustrating.
Yeah, and also when they land on you and they bite you, you really feel it. But when you go to hit them, they stay there.
They do, yeah.
So yeah, anyway.
They're very beautiful to look at though.
They are very beautiful.
Closely, yeah.
Yes, they absolutely are.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're just having a little tramp through this meadow, and this really is the joy of a meadow, isn't there? What there's lots of, like, the grasses sort of dominate when you're sort of looking at a distance.
That's right, yeah.
But just a little bit lower than the tops of the grasses, there's so many different coloured flowers.
And areas of the nature reserve are very different. So this corner that we were just standing in is actually quite grassy. But as we walk through this meadow, which we will do, I think, in a bit, you'll see that the grasses start to get less and less as we go on. But here it's kind of a bit of a mixture. I'd say it was kind of 50-50 really. You've got the sort of taller grasses, but then underneath you've got all of the wildflowers growing here as well. So you've got bird's foot trefoil, this yellow and red one here.
That yellow one. It's sort of like a pea-like flower.
It is in the pea family, yes. And it's fantastic. It's one of the best plants that you can have for wildlife because so many different insects use it as a food source. Common blue butterflies, they will lay their eggs on it. That's just one of many. And then you've got lady's bedstraw here.
Oh yeah.
It is out in flower at the moment, although this bit is not really out in flower yet, but it's got tiny little yellow flowers. It's related to, you know, cleavers, sticky weed.
Oh yes, sticky willy, that's what we call it in my family.
Yeah. It's related to that. You can kind of see it looks like a fine version of that.
Yeah, it does actually, now you say that. It does. The way the leaves are clustered around the stem.
Oh yeah, look, here's some in flower.
Oh, right. And why is it called lady's bedstraw? Is it literal?
I think that it used to be used as stuffing for beds, for like mattresses.
One of the many uses of meadows.
Yes. And it has quite a sort of, well, I think it's a nice smell, sort of quite a pungent smell when it's sort of flowering. So I don't know if that was also part of it, that it kind of, you know, made a nice fragrance in the bed.
Skylark.
Yeah, skylark.
And I can actually see it.
Can you?
It's just there. It's just on its way up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not 100% sure. There's definitely some nesting in the farm fields next door, and we do have some nesting on the nature reserve as well. And I'm not sure with that one, because it kind of is almost in between the two, whether or not it's come up from the farm field or it's come up from one of our meadows.
Well, we'll have to be very careful where we put our feet then, I suppose. And that's one of the things about meadows, isn't it? Is that, you know, not all of them are accessible to sort of tramp through for the public.
That's right, yeah.
Because ground nesting birds really do use them. And you can see why. Like when you're actually in the middle of it, there's quite a lot of cover. Yeah. You know, it feels like open grassland from a distance, but it's really not. The grass is so deep.
Yeah, lots of cover, lots of shade for them. And you wouldn't know. I mean, we've accidentally walked near skylark nests before where we didn't even know there was a skylark there. And sort of seen the nest, and you just wouldn't know it was there. It's so, you know, it's so well camouflaged. It's just a little kind of divot in the ground, you know, maybe with some eggs or some sort of chicks in the middle of it. It's really well camouflaged. So you've got to be very careful. We do monitor the birds at Trumpington, so we do tend to know, roughly speaking, where things are. So we do avoid walking through that area of meadow if we know. Yeah. You know, some things take you by surprise.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So my name's Becky Green, and I am the Senior Ranger at Trumpington Meadows Nature Reserve. Trumpington Meadows is a nature reserve in Cambridge. It's just south of Cambridge city centre. And I've worked here for 10 years.
Wow, 10 years.
10 years.
10 years of Trumpington Meadows though as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. So I've worked here since the beginning, really.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been lovely seeing it develop and change and grow.
What's your most memorable moment in those 10 years?
Oh, I can definitely think of some of those. I mean, I can think of several because there's been loads.
Sure, yeah.
So I think one of the most memorable moments was in 2018, and it was on April the 1st. And I am absolutely rubbish at remembering years and dates of anything. You know, even the most important dates completely go out of my mind. But I remember this for some reason. Because it was April the 1st. And 2018, I'd been working here for nearly 3 years. And me and my colleague Ian Webb were walking around the field that's a little way away from where we are now. But we were walking along the river. And we were chatting away. And Ian is very, very good, if you've met Ian, at identifying bird calls and bird songs. So not just the song, but any call that a bird makes, he knows it straight away. And we could hear this little peeping noise. And I was like, oh, what's that? And he said, I don't know. And he had got this look in his eye and sort of rushed towards the edge of the river and sort of made a shush sort of motion to me. And we looked down the river and 2 otters came swimming towards us. It was 11 o'clock in the morning and they were kind of like peeping at each other. And Ian said he thought it was probably a parent, like a mother otter and her baby. But they were both kind of fully grown sort of thing. And we just watched them for a little bit and took a photo. And then they swam off.
Wow.
And that's the last time I saw an otter in Trumpington Meadows.
But they are here.
They are here because we see their spraints and things all the time, and some of my colleagues have seen them since. But yeah, that was pretty fantastic.
That's amazing. Do you know, I think otters are one of those things that in people's imaginations are still very, very rare.
Yeah.
And also that you have to travel to see them. Yeah. I actually know quite a few people who go on holiday to see otters. They go to Scotland to see otters.
That's right.
And I always think,
you
just stay here.
Yeah,
they're around. Actually,
they are around.
I mean, they're not easy to spot.
No,
but if you know what you're looking for the tracks and signs,
you
can find where they are.
Yeah, I went to Mull a few years ago, and I did see a couple of otters. But they have signs all over Mull, sort of saying, drive carefully, otters crossing, and things like this. My partner, who I went with, didn't unfortunately see an otter. He was very upset. But we had a couple of weeks before seen 3 of them swimming in the lake at Kingfisher Bridge up in the fens.
See,
so
yeah, so they are around. Should we keep going?
Yeah,
lovely. So is there, with it being so close to people, obviously this side is a bit further away, so you have to sort of, as you're saying, travel a bit to get over this side.
Yeah.
Does it present problems when you're trying to manage a meadow for wildlife?
Yeah, of course it can do. So, this side, not to say this side is still very accessible. We've got a permissive bike path that runs all the way through the reserve, and it is still quite easy to get to.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few people.
Yeah, exactly.
Going
it's quite
alongside
nice
here.
And open. But a lot of the meadows on this side of the nature reserve are fenced off, so you can walk through some of them and you can see them all. But some of them are fenced off, and for the most part, that's because we graze animals in them.
Right.
So obviously we need to sort of keep that separate from people. We don't want to have paths running through the middle of fields where cows might be. They might be there with their calves, or sometimes bulls, things like that. So we want to make sure that the animals are safe and that people are safe. So yeah, they tend to be sort of fenced off a lot down here. In the north, it's completely open, and you can walk wherever you please to a point, but the best practice is to not just walk straight through the middle of a meadow. You never know what's going to be nesting there, and also you're creating kind of like paths and desire lines and things like that through meadows. Yes. And I think for the most part, people are pretty good, and they don't do that, but occasionally.
Well, yes, occasionally,
but yeah. I mean, it's it's quite thick. Walking through some of this, it's not wouldn't be your first choice maybe for most people because they want a nice path to walk on.
Yes, that's true. And there are some lovely paths on the other side, aren't there, as well? So properly paved paths and things for people to explore.
And there's a whole network of paths up there, and it's not just there are, like you say, the nice paved ones and things which are really accessible, but there's also grass paths through things, so we cut those to keep them open, or if they're well enough trodden, then they sort of stay open themselves. So yeah, if you kind of want to get off the laid path, you can just have a nice little wander around in the meadows.
Yeah, because we do want people to see these things. We want people to experience them, don't we? But meadows have declined drastically, haven't they? In general. Was it 90-something%? 97%?
I think it's something like 97% of lowland meadows have been lost since something like 1935, I think, or anywhere. Yeah. So in basically nearly 100 years, we've lost a lot of meadows like this.
Yeah. So this would have been a really common sort of occurrence. Oh, what's that?
Marbled whites.
Oh, beautiful.
Lovely.
So yeah, it would have. Oh, there's 2.
Oh yes, fantastic.
Oh wow. So yeah, it would have been a much more common experience, wouldn't it, for people to sort of see this? And and of course, they're not just wild grassland, are they? No. You do manage them, and people have always managed them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they are kind of essentially man-made habitats. Really, they don't really occur naturally. They might have done in some kind of form, sort of before humans were involved, but yeah, generally speaking, they are managed. Back in the day, people would have cut them with, say, scythes and grazed them with their animals and things like that. Now, of course, we do it with tractors and things, but we still do some of the traditional stuff. So.
Yeah, and it being cut
Yeah.
Because obviously that is something that's very visible to people, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, and when you are walking around these meadows and you see this beautiful sort of bobbing in the breeze, grassland, and lots of butterflies flitting about, and then you come back the next day and it's completely, you know, cut to the ground, it can be quite alarming. But I mean, I feel like that it wouldn't exist, would it, without that process?
That's right. Yeah, it's a hard message sometimes to try and get across, because it sounds a bit counterintuitive, I always think. But essentially, if we left this beautiful field now here, we've got so many different flowers and grasses and things like that, and we've got all these insects and birds and other animals kind of using it. If we just left this in 5 years' time, it would be completely different. It would probably be a lot more grassy. There wouldn't be the sort of the range of wildflowers that we've got here. And as time goes on and on and on, it would eventually get things like scrub growing in it. You'd get bramble, you'd get hawthorn, and like things like that starting to grow in it. And over a very, very long time, if you did absolutely nothing, it might turn into like a little wood. And then you've lost the wildflower habitat. And that's not to say that scrubby areas and woodlands don't have immense value, but wildflower meadows also have immense value. So we want to keep these wildflower meadows as wildflower meadows. And yeah, if you don't cut them, then we will lose them. And then all of the species that really rely on a very particular flower or grass or something to survive, to complete its life cycle, to nest in, you lose all those as well. But on the other hand, you come in and you hay cut, and it is a very sudden loss of that habitat. One of the things that I always like to remind myself is that a lot of the species that live in meadows have evolved to live in meadows. That's how their life cycle goes. And hay cuts are often timed with when the flowers are going to seed and when the butterflies have, you know, completed their life cycles and things like that. Obviously, the skylarks and other ground nesting birds have finished nesting. So it's doing it at the right time, and you know, for the right reasons, and then they come back the next year, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and they do come back. I mean, that's the thing as well. You know, you think they're all disappearing, but with the cut, but they don't. They as you said, they're in different parts of their life cycle. Maybe the butterflies are in pupae. You know, it is amazing how it comes back. And you know, there's never like the perfect time to cut. You're always gonna interfere with something at some point. But there are better times to cut, aren't they? Because I think I feel like a lot of grassland people cut it without thinking about that at all. In which case, you are getting rid of all the flowers that the butterflies are eating.
Different meadows have really a different point as to when, you know, you're going to want to cut them, and some earlier than others. And people will always have a different idea about when they want to cut. Some farmers, for instance, if they want to get a really nice hay crop off their meadow, they might be cutting now, or you know, you might have seen actually driving around, some people have started hay cutting their meadows, a few bales around and things. But we always say June is too soon, so June is way too early for us to cut these meadows. That would be no good at all.
I mean, the sheer number of butterflies and other insects that are buzzing around here and feeding on all the flowers that are really in full bloom right now, and also sort of just coming into bloom as well.
That's right.
Like the lady's bedstraw.
Exactly. And you do want things to be able to. I mean, most of these plants are all pretty much perennials, so if you cut them down now, it's not a massive problem for that individual plant. It will grow back. But you do want them to also be kind of creating seed and sort of setting seed every year as well. So obviously, having the hay cut a little bit later when most things have you know, a lot of things have set seed is really key. Have you seen something?
Is that a hairy shield bug?
Oh yeah, fantastic. Well spotted. It's well camouflaged, isn't it?
Oh,
just flew.
Wow, I don't think I've ever knowingly seen a shield bug in flight before.
No.
You sort of forget they can fly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lovely.
Yeah. So when will you be cutting Trumpington Meadows then? Do you know, or is it does the weather?
The weather. I mean, there's so many factors, it can be really tricky to figure out. So we plan for a certain thing, and then we try to keep ourselves a little bit adaptable and kind of, you know, go with the flow a little bit. So for us in particular, we are not allowed to cut these meadows before the 1st of July anyway, partly because we have a countryside stewardship agreement that covers these meadows, and that dictates that they have to be cut if they're going to be cut after the 1st of July. So some of our meadows might be cut then, but we tend to leave the more species-rich ones like this one until a little bit later still. And then it can depend on the weather. So they might get mainly all cut by the end of July, but often with the weather and things like that, with farmers' time, with our time, there's often still lots still being cut during August. We'd like to get them done by the end of August is kind of like our kind of stop point. If you're still cutting stuff in September, you start to think, what's the point? It's and the trick is to try and get basically, it's all about kind of removing nutrients out of the meadow as well. That's another sort of thing that I sometimes think is a bit counterintuitive to people. I sometimes get asked on guided walks and things like that, oh, so do you fertilise your meadows? And it's like, oh, no, absolutely not. That's the opposite of what we want. We want there to be low nutrients in these meadows. So we want to cut them as best we can at a time when all the nutrients is inside the plant, and we take as much off as we can. And that's really, really helpful for keeping the nicer meadow species growing healthily, and not all of the sort of ranker species kind of coming in and growing.
Ranker species. Now that feels like a technical term that is quite an evocative word. Yeah, what does it mean, a rank species?
I always find it a bit of a tricky one, because I try to avoid using the word weed as much as possible, but sometimes there's not a really good alternative, and sometimes it just comes out. But okay, so if we turn around where we are now, so we're looking out here on this beautiful meadow, and you've got knapweeds and ladies' bed straw and grasses and things like that, and then you turn around grasses, and you look here, and just behind us there are, well, a lot of thicker, taller grasses.
Yes. And it's thicker at the base as well, so it's sort of like a sward. Is that the word? Like a thicker sward.
So some of this is false oak grass. And we've got some bindweed starting to creep in.
Oh, yes.
And where did I see it? We've got some creeping thistle.
Okay,
my nemesis there.
Even the names suggest that they're undesirable. Creeping and binding and false.
And false, yes, you're right. Oh, that's interesting. Then we've got some hogweed there.
Oh, yeah.
So we're kind of looking at hogweed, the edge of the meadow now, along the fence line, and that's where things do tend to end up getting a little bit ranker, just because sometimes they don't get cut as well, because the farmer doesn't get as close to the hedge the fence when he's cutting. Sometimes there are other reasons as well. So they always tend to be the bits that aren't quite as nice. Sometimes in the north, it's the bits that's along the paths, which is a shame in a way, because the bits along the path edges end up being a little bit more like this that we're looking at, and a little less like this.
Yeah. So if you do see a little cut grass path through a meadow, take it.
Yes, exactly, because you'll see the nice things.
Yeah, that's a good tip, actually.
And that's not to say that these species don't have a fantastic value for wildlife.
Yes, I mean, hogweed I often see absolutely teeming with like the umbellifer flowers, exactly covered in insects and things.
And the nectar that thistles provide, they're one of the most nectar-rich plants there are. But the trouble is that it gets into a meadow, and as the name suggests, creeping thistle, it creeps in, increases and increases, and before you know it, you've got a whole massive patch in your meadow and nothing else, just creeping thistle.
Yeah, and there's also, I guess because of the denser sward, I feel like the density of crickets and grasshoppers sounds louder on this side at the moment. Yeah, as well.
Maybe with all the grasses, maybe they like that as well.
Yeah,
So it's fantastically important, and having a bit of a kind of mosaic of habitats, in this small way. So having the thicker grasses and all that sort of stuff in a controlled, smaller way.
Yeah.
To complement your lovely, nice wildflower meadow. It's all important.
Here's a little aside, just for you. One reason our 3 counties are a special place for wildlife. BCN Beauties.
Hello, my name's Matt Hamilton, and I'm the Senior Reserves Manager for the Wildlife Trust for Beds, Cambs and Northants. The oxlip is a beautiful springtime flower of damp woodlands and meadows, and grows in nutrient-poor and calcium-rich soils. It's a delicate yellow, not dissimilar to the much more common cowslip, but with larger, paler flowers and without the dark orange markings, and upright stems that are often slightly drooping and generally facing to one side. Now found only in small areas of Cambridgeshire, Suffolk and Essex, our ancient woodlands and cams, such as Hayleywood, contain around half of the country's population, making the work we do looking after these woodlands extremely important. These flowers, like other springtime favourites of bluebell, favour the undisturbed soils of ancient woodlands. Human management in the form of coppicing or cutting areas for shrubs and trees on a multi-year cycle around different areas of the wood creates patches with increased ground light levels and helping these flowers to thrive. We continue to manage our ancient woodlands in this way, maintaining the traditions that saw these areas set aside by humans in the first place, to provide a regular source of wood, for everything from tool handles and beam poles to firewood and building materials. Copsing provides a rich variety of dense, shrubby to open habitats in our precious ancient woodlands, for all manner of species, including many nesting birds and small mammals, not just the oxlip to thrive.
Right, shall we move through? You've got a couple of nets here. I wonder, are we heading up a bit further in to do some...
I think we should head a bit further into sort of that patch there. Oh, look, there's another skipper.
Oh, yeah. It's got a couple of sweet nets. Oh, a
Bumblebee. Can you see right in front of us?
What's that?
I think it's a female pheasant.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a bit worried she's going to fly up in a minute and just like flap me in the
Oh my
face.
gosh, right, well spotted. There's a female pheasant just absolutely hunkered down. Do you think she should be nesting?
She might be, actually.
She might be nesting. Wow. God, I've never seen that before. There you go, you see. And we were like 2 foot away before that was visible. That's the thing about it, isn't it?
I know.
That was amazing.
That reminded me. I used to work on seabird islands, and you'd sometimes find chicks like that just hustle down in the grass, in the heather it was at the time, and they would just stare up at you.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose that's their only defence mechanism, isn't it? Just the hard stare, like Paddington.
Yes. You look at these lovely marbled whites. I love them.
Oh wow! Yeah, they are very beautiful, very distinct. They're black and white, aren't they? Really, or white
black
with
and white,
black markings.
Yeah, and they're a fairly recent addition, I think, to UK wildlife. I can't remember the exact year that they were first recorded, but they've sort of slowly made their way up from the south as things have got warmer. They've sort of slowly come up, and I can't remember the year that marbled whites were first seen in Cambridgeshire, but it wasn't that long ago. So I remember when we started doing our butterfly counts at Trumpington, which we do every week, when we first saw the first few marbled whites, we were like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And now they're quite common here.
But it must be so gratifying though to see species move in, especially since you've been here since the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So you've seen this come. I mean, what was it before?
It was arable fields. It was like farm fields.
Just farming fields. Wow.
It was owned by the PBI, the Plant Breeding Institute, which some people listening might be familiar with. It was a real institution in Cambridge, and they had this as farm fields. They used to do crop trials, so they grew lots of different and developed lots of different varieties of different crops. So, for instance, this is my fun fact: Maris Piper potatoes were developed here.
Oh wow!
And the road that you drive into our office off is called Maris Lane. So it was an old farming family, and all of the crops that were developed here all have Maris in there as their first name. So there were things like Maris Otter and Maris, I can't remember any others, wheats and barleys, oats, all sorts of things came from here originally.
Wow.
So yeah, for a long time, it was owned by the PBI and farmed. Not publicly accessible, of course. It was sort of fenced off, and then slowly developed into wildflower meadow.
Yeah, and how do you develop it into wildflower meadow? What do you do?
Process. The PBI stopped actively farming it a fair way before Grosvenor purchased it and then turned it into wildflower meadows. So it would have been taken out of production, and then it was very complicated. I'm sure they had lots of design plans and things like that. They'd gone out and they'd done surveys and they'd looked at soil types and hydrology and things like that, to basically best decide what types of meadows and what types of habitat would suit various areas.
Right.
So certain areas sort of really stood out to them and to us, because we were involved at the time, as being perfect for, say, a small area of woodland. And certain areas like this field we're in were like, right, this has been earmarked for a lovely species-rich wildflower meadow. So then those fields would be, say, cultivated, and then they would be sprayed with seeds. So the seeds would be distributed around here. It was a specific mix here, a bespoke mix of certain grasses and wildflowers that our conservation manager decided on. And then watch it grow. It was fantastically successful here. The first sort of year or couple of years, the management is slightly different. It's a good idea to sort of cut it a few times frequently, just to sort of cut away and remove what's growing and help it find its balance. And then, after that, just down to regular management. And it keeps it looking nice. But it does change every year. I mean, the first, you'll get those sort of flush of initial species that you kind of get growing in a field that's, say, been disturbed or something like that. So you always get things like poppies and things like that. But of the things that we sowed, we got lots of oxeye daisies. I remember the fields being absolutely covered in oxeye daisies.
I can't see any where we're standing at the moment, which
there
is amazing.
Some, but they and then other things seem to sort of like have their year. So last year it was kidney vetch. It was just, we had fields absolutely covered in kidney vetch. It was amazing.
Wow.
And then each year's slightly different. So.
Which I guess has a knock-on effect for the invertebrates that feed on those things as well. Yeah. And especially if you have a bad year for them in terms of wet weather, if that's the kidney vetch year, and the kidney vetch butterflies are hit by that, then it might take a while for them to come back until the kidney vetch has another good year or something.
Yeah. It's interesting to think how things do bounce back and sort of survive. And kidney vetch is a good example because you get the small blue butterfly, that's their sole caterpillar food plant. Right. We have small blue butterflies here purely because we have kidney vetch going here.
And that's a new one. That was quite recent.
Yes,
that's
it was.
In my time in the trust.
That's right. Yeah, they were extinct in Cambridge for several years, let's say 10 or 20 years or so. Nobody had seen a small blue butterfly. Obviously, they were elsewhere, but they always occur in quite small populations. And then somebody found one, and it was here. Somebody found one at Trumpington Meadows and said, "Did you know?" So they said to me, "Did you know you have small blue butterflies here?" No, I did not. They're very small, and they're not so easy to see unless you're really looking for them. But yeah, and then they've thrived here and other places as well in Cambridgeshire. They're doing quite well now. But yeah, so last year was a fantastic kidney vetch year, but not so many small blue butterflies. So but they seem to be doing okay this year, so it's funny how they can bounce back to a point. I mean, obviously
but they have to be given time to. It doesn't just take 1 year.
No, that's
right.
The
thing. Yeah. They have to have consistency.
And the general, the general trend for most butterflies is a downward one. So
well, haven't you? You've got a new project coming here soon. Well, not new to the trust. You've got the if I heard tell.
Yes,
is that right? Butterfly banks. Is that right?
Butterfly banks. Yeah. So working with Cambridge University. So yeah, they've worked with us before and created butterfly banks at Pegston. Where else have they got some?
Tottenham.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I think that's right. Yeah.
So they create these E-shaped banks.
And they're very definitely E-shaped.
Yeah.
I always think it's really hard unless you see a picture. They are like a capital E.
A capital E. Yes.
I mean, and they're very deliberately like that as well,
right.
because they're good for research. I was speaking to Josh Helen, our monitoring and research manager, about them, and because it's very good for research because you have very distinct directions that the banks face.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. It's very definite. Yeah, that's right. And then you have 4 of them, so each one is orientated a particular way. So you'll have one where the arms of the E, if you like, are facing north, south, east and west. So you've got all those variations. And then the idea is to come and monitor them and see where it is that the butterflies and other invertebrates are in certain weathers. And you can tell an awful lot, in some of those really hot weather spells that we've had, how all of the invertebrates will be in the shady side,
but they take temperature of the butterflies as well, don't they? That's the thing I find absolutely fascinating about this research. You've got scientists crawling around on capital E-shaped banks with this tiny, tiny probe.
Yeah.
Just taking the actual temperature of butterflies and not harming them.
No, because
releasing them again.
The first time you saw it, did you get a little bit worried?
Yeah, because I was like, it looks like they're injecting them with something or something, doesn't it? Because the probe is just so sort of delicate, and I don't know, it looks very alarming.
But no, I believe they just sort of hold it against the body of the butterfly, take the temperature, and then release the butterfly unharmed.
Yeah, I think there is some of that research has been published. It's ongoing, isn't it?
It has, yeah.
If people are interested to look that up, I'll put a link on the website at wildlifebcn.org/podcast. But yes, so you're getting some here at Trumpington.
Yes, we are. Yeah. So they are going to be they're going to be created in sort of September-ish time, and we're waiting obviously for the breeding birds and the insects and things like that to have sort of like quietened down for the year, and then they're going to be created here. That's going to be fantastic. I mean, one of the benefits is, of course, we're in Cambridge, so we're so close to the university that it's obviously very convenient for them to be able to come here and do their studies and things like that. So, and plus we have a wonderful diversity of butterflies here. So.
Absolutely, and it's just so accessible because you are also really near the Park and Ride.
Yeah, that's right.
The Trumpington Park and Ride. So it is, It's amazing, and which makes it very easy to visit as well.
Yes,
by the way,
that's right.
if people want to come,
Yeah.
and experience it for
Very
themselves.
convenient. Yeah.
The job that you do here is quite diverse, isn't it? Really,
It
you
is,
also
yeah.
run a lot of events for people.
That's right. Yeah, we do. We do guided walks. We do family events and things like that. So, we do all sorts. The one that I'm looking forward to the most coming up is actually a Meet the Cows event, talking about cows. So that's why I've got dung beetles on my mind, because we're going to get the farmer to talk about his beautiful, wonderful cows. We're hoping they're going to have some calves by then, so there might be some adorably cute baby cows, and then we want to take families looking for dung beetles through cow pats.
Dung diving,
yeah, which is great fun. So yeah, we're organising that now. That's in July. But yeah, for years now we've been doing some wonderful guided walks. My colleague Ian Webb leads some guided walks here on a Monday, the monthly meanders. So he's always out looking for things, and he's just a fantastic walk leader because he just knows so much about everything. He's just really engaging when it comes to talking and enthusing people about wildlife.
Yeah, there's a podcast with Ian.
Yes, there is. Yeah,
Car
it's a good one.
parks and pavements.
That's exactly what I mean. He can talk about anything. He can talk about wildlife anywhere.
He can, and he did at Madingley Park and Ride. And it's honestly, it's kind of a slightly less engaging title, but I urge any listeners to go and listen to that episode, because it's just fascinating. The amazing wildlife that can be found at Madingley Park and Ride in Cambridge in the company of Ian.
It's fantastic. And so we do a lot of events aimed at families. My colleague Becca runs holiday events in the school holidays.
Yes, and I've seen there's some mindfulness sort of events, aren't there, on the meadows as well, which I think is a nice way to engage with.
Yeah, I think that's lovely.
With nature. So check out the events page.
Yes.
On our website. wildlifebcn.org/events, and you can filter by Trumpington Meadows.
You can, or by Cambridge if you're just in the area.
Yes, absolutely.
But should we wander into that bit there?
Go on then. Carefully, watching out for any hunkered down birds.
She's still there. She's still
she didn't fluff off, did she?
I've had that happen to me before, but it was a brown hare, and it waited to the very last minute, and then it just like jumped up and ran away. It gave me an absolute fright. But I was very close to it before it decided to make a run for it. Okay, so I'm just going to point out this plant here.
Yes.
Do you know what this one is?
Ooh, no.
It's yellow rattle.
You're just rattling it. It gave me a clue. You were shaking it around.
It's not rattling because it's not late enough yet. Yellow rattle or hay rattle. So this was included in the seed mix. I think I've heard it called like the Meadow Maker before, because it basically it parasitizes grass species. So it helps to sort of, you do want grasses in your meadow, but it helps to sort of keep them down really, and so they don't overtake the meadow. So having a nice lot of yellow rattle in your meadow is quite good, quite nice. Obviously insects also like it. And that's right, as it gets a little bit drier, which it isn't quite yet.
There's a couple
that's
here.
Supposedly an indicator of when the meadows are ready to cut for hay. Can you hear it? Yeah, that's not quite.
Not
quite.
quite.
There's one there, maybe that might do it.
I can hear it in my.
Don't know if that's coming across.
That's cool. It does literally rattle. That's really good.
Yeah, it's wonderful. You can collect the seeds from these. It's quite nice to take the seeds, and then you can put them somewhere else if you want to. Obviously, they will just drop and reseed in this area if left, but if you want them somewhere else.
And they are something which you can get hold of commercially. I think I've seen.
You can.
And there's something if you want to do your own. Sort of. If you make your own grassland in your own garden, slightly less grass heavy. I've heard people planting yellow rattle.
Put a little bit of yellow rattle in there and see. Yeah, fantastic. I did just see something, and now I can't see it, and I wanted to point it out to you. There it is. Look, can you see this cocoon?
Oh yes! Oh wow! It's a bright yellow cocoon on the side of a. Is that plantain?
It is a plantain. Yeah. It's a burnet moth cocoon. I don't know. I imagine it's a 6-spot burnet moth because that's what we get a lot of here.
Yeah.
One year we had a real flush of them. We had thousands upon thousands of them, and they were. I mean, this is what they would normally do. They would normally have a cocoon on a stem or on a grass stem or something. But we were finding them on our on all of the stock fencing around, on the backs of like
Wow.
notice boards. They were just everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And then since then, they seem to have found their kind of like equilibrium a little bit, and we see, you know, nice numbers of them here. But one year, you just couldn't step for seeing one, so it was weird. You do sometimes. Oh, look, there's a slightly older one.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So when will they? Do you know when they will hatch? Is that the right word?
I think they will emerge. Well, they're out now, so I'm not quite sure if these will then go till next year and will emerge then, or whether or not these will emerge again. It's a species that I'm not quite sure whether or not they have, like I say, a second brood or a kind of a long breeding period where they'll sort of come out over a long time. So,
because that's quite striking though, the difference of that bright yellow one compared to look, there's another one.
Everywhere.
How funny. As with anything like this, I find once you get your eye in, once someone points something out to you, you do start seeing them everywhere. I can see another two over there.
That's right. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And for things like this that do, I mean, say for instance, it overwinters like that. If you come in here and cut the hay, then obviously you're cutting down things like that. Obviously, not every species, you know, will overwinter on a stalk of grass like that. But you do get plenty of things that do sort of like lay their eggs in grass stalks or lay their eggs somewhere in the top of the flower. And so one of the things that we often do here, although you do have to hay cut to keep the meadow in good condition and to provide future generations of these insects, we always leave patches uncut. We try and rotate them every year, so there's a little bit of undisturbed meadow.
Yeah, and somewhere for them to go to, I suppose, when it is cut as well, right? So the things that are still kicking around have somewhere to retreat to.
And it's benefit to all sorts of things. You know, small mammals might, you know, go in there and things as well. So
yeah, look, there's one on the side of here. Look.
Oh yeah,
they're everywhere. They are everywhere. When you do cut the meadows, obviously you use tractors, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
Do you start from the centre and work your way out?
That is the best practice to do it that way, yes. So that is what we try to encourage our farmers to do as well.
Yes.
Some are very, very good at that, and will do it exactly the way that you want to do it, or they already do it that way, and that's the way that they do it. I have known farmers who hay cut, who just, you know, they come in and they just drive very fast around the meadow and try and cut it as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Obviously, we prefer to work with the former,
because obviously if you do it from the middle, that gives the creatures that are running away from you a chance to get out through cover. Right? Yeah.
And
is that the idea?
I was speaking to one Chantel at Strawberry Hill the other day, and she was also talking about how they were cutting their meadows in, or thinking about cutting some of their grassy areas in sort of strips over time. So just doing one strip, and maybe another strip and another strip. I mean, the things that we maybe would prioritise doing as a wildlife trust is not something that a farmer would ever do or ever have time to do.
Because one strip of hay, if you're cutting it for hay, because I mean, a hay meadow is literally cut to create hay to feed animals.
To feed animals, exactly.
So if you were sort of harvesting a meadow one strip at a time, it's not really much good.
It's not very time effective, is it really? No. But yeah, certainly that method of sort of starting in the middle and working your way out is a really good method. Going a bit slowly, I like to sometimes have a little wander through the meadows and, you know, flush anything that might be, for instance, that pheasant that was sitting there, or hares and things like that, and sort of like see if I'll you know, just flush them from the meadows if they're hanging around. We do hay cut ourselves as well. We've got a little tractor and a little baler. We couldn't do all of our meadows down here. They're massive. It would take us absolutely forever with our small machinery. But we do bits of it ourselves. And obviously when we do it ourselves, we do it. We take our time.
Yeah. And do you then have to hand rake? How does that even work?
Well, no, we can cut it, and then we can ted it and rake it. So basically we can throw it around the place to dry it out, and then make it into nice neat rows, and then we can bale it. Blues.
Hard to see what they are so fast. But sorry, blue butterflies just flutting past. Sorry to interrupt you.
And then we can bale it as well, so we don't have to rake it by hand.
Right. That makes sense, because it takes me long enough to rake my own tiny little log. Could you even imagine doing this?
This is why it's huge. It used to be a village thing. You know, everyone would come out and like cut it and rake it.
That's right. I'm always amazed though, like talking to colleagues about the work that we do. Like quite a lot of what we do is sort of mimicking or being based on
Yes.
management practices that have
Yeah.
gone on for a long time. So doing things that farmers would have been doing.
Yeah.
The ancient woodlands, coppicing
Yeah,
and
that's
pollarding
right,
and
yeah.
taking the wood in a way
Yeah.
that people would have been doing.
Yeah.
Conservation grazing, you're working
Yeah.
with livestock. It's like so much of what we do is actually a sort of wildlife friendly version of
that's
something.
right. Yeah.
Land management,
Yeah.
basically, isn't it?
And the things we do here, they're things that have been done for generations and generations. We might have slightly bigger, better machinery sometimes. We still do some certain things by hand. I mean, I don't personally use a scythe, but I do have colleagues who do.
Yeah.
And we have areas in the nature reserve where you just wouldn't fit a tractor. So then we get, volunteers in with hay rakes, and we do it the old-fashioned way,
Yeah.
It's lovely to do it that way.
Yeah.
You get to know your meadow a little bit.
Yes, actually walking every step of it
Yeah.
is it's very different, isn't it, to driving a tractor around it.
Yeah.
And you were doing something with cows this morning. They're quite new at Trumpington, aren't they?
Yeah.
The cows.
We've often had we've always hay cut here, and then sometimes we have aftermath grazed. So we hay cut and then we leave it for a little bit to grow back again, and then we get the cows in for the late summer and the autumn to graze it down. And we've often found that combination is a really good way to keep your meadows nice and in good condition, and then they grow back really nicely the next year. We've worked in the past with some farmers, and they'll just bring their cows on for a couple of months, sort of August, September time. But now we have started working with a local farmer. They're the Wandering Herd, Ed, who was here this morning. And we have some belted Galloways here, who I love. They're lovely.
And they're just, honestly, they're so dinky.
Yeah, they're
really gorgeous. They are they're a more diminutive cow, aren't they?
They are. They're a little bit smaller, although a bit bigger at the moment because some of them are pregnant.
Yes.
So they're a bit rotund, some of them. But yeah, so we've got them here now, and so we're starting to sort of develop a slightly different system of managing our meadows. It's really in very early days at the moment, but the hope is that we can reduce the amounts that we have to hay cut every year. So we still will be hay cutting. We may just hay cut, for instance, in the south of our meadow, we may hay cut half of them every year and graze the rest of them, and graze the ones we hay cut as well. And have that in a sort of a rotation. So each year a different meadow will get hay cut.
And what do you hope will be the result of doing it that way?
Well, we quite like the idea that it's a little bit more wildlife friendly in a way. A hay cut, however slow you're doing a hay cut, it is a sort of sudden removal of sort of everything. Whereas a small herd of cows coming in here, the field next door, the cows have been in there for sort of 2 months really, so it's just very, very slow chewing through the vegetation, So there is that. We also like the idea of spending less time hay cutting. It does take quite a lot of time, and that it might keep our meadows in really nice condition. They are in nice condition anyway, but getting a good graze is really fantastic.
Always innovating. That's the thing.
Absolutely.
I think it's important, isn't it, to do the research and to try these things, and that's why why we do change it every now and then, I suppose.
Yeah. And our monitoring and research team has looked into this a lot, because we do monitor our grasslands every year. We come out and we're counting flowers and grasses and things like that.
Quadrats.
Get the quadrats out and just to see what they're doing and to keep an eye on them and to see if they're still if there are as many what we would call positive indicator species growing there as there were before. Has it got better? Has it got worse? And that has found over time of looking at these that the combination of hay cutting and grazing is one of the things that makes for a really good meadow. And it's fantastic. It's great for biodiversity having cattle on. One of the things that we're going to start looking at is dung beetles.
Oh, that's exciting.
Which is always exciting. So, obviously dung beetles. I think a lot of people think that dung beetles just, that you don't get them in the UK, but you do. You get lots of dung beetles.
Think of them as an Egyptian thing, right?
Right?
Rolling the balls of manure, dung around. Yeah.
But they're a really important species that do a fantastic job of helping to decompose and cycle the nutrients of cowpats in meadows, and they themselves provide food for things like bats when they're flying around, They also do this wonderful thing where they have mites on them, some dung beetles, and they will move with the mites to different cowpats, and those mites will eat the larvae of flies that are not very good for the cattle. So it's like a lovely little symbiotic relationship between the cows and the mites and the dung beetles. So yeah.
See, that's the thing, like biodiversity, it's just such a kind of complex web, and we
that's
only
right.
understand, so I mean, comparatively little of it, I think, as humans.
Yeah.
You know, that we see what we can see, but we don't know what we're not seeing. You know, the connections that are being made between all kinds of different species.
And then we do something to mess it up.
Yes.
We don't realise we've even done it sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. We want to have a little sweet
net.
nets.
Go on. I'm desperate to get a bit of sweet netting. I love it, just to see what's in these grasses.
Choose your nets.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of very gentle looking nets actually. I always think sweet nets feel very gentle.
That's technically a butterfly net, I think.
Is it?
And this is more of a sort of rounder sort of.
It's white, which also shows off the insect better.
Whereas that's a very light black mesh one, and that's good for catching butterflies, but it doesn't really matter. We can use it for either day.
How do you sweep net then? What's best practice?
Well, I think it can look a bit violent. When I see sort of proper entomologists doing this, they kind of look like they're trying to attack the meadows. I've just seen something. Oh, do you know what? I was just thinking maybe I'll catch a. So when we saw earlier, the little cocoons that we had on the plant that we saw earlier, that I said were a 6-spot burnet moth.
Oh yeah.
This is a 6-spot burnet moth caterpillar.
Wow.
I nearly just catapulted into the meadow.
It's got good grip. Yeah. So that's it before it.
Yeah.
Pupates,
and then it will turn into a lovely.
It looks very fat actually.
Moth.
It looks like it's almost ready.
Yeah, it must
and it's
be. Yeah.
Positioned itself.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the sort of thing that you might get in your net, but I'm going to leave that one undisturbed because I know it's there. But
so we literally just bash it. How low should I go?
Fairly low.
You demonstrate.
It's good to sort of try it out and just get a feel for what you like. So I think so sweeping it left to right like this, so that you're hitting the vegetation, the flowers and the grasses and things like that. Do it a few times,
right,
and then see what you've got. Oh, I've got some. I've got some. You can see them. Can you see that thing hopping?
Oh yeah,
frog hopper.
Oh yeah, frog hoppers are great shape.
Yeah, they are. Think. And I like the fact that you can kind of touch them on their on the base of their. Oh, and they hop, and it's like a little toy, you know.
Even though I knew that was going to happen, it still took me by surprise.
Lots of pollen beetles around at the moment, those little black ones.
Oh yes, those are the ones that are attracted to yellow t-shirts, are they?
And there is, well, that's a beetle, but I don't know exactly what type of beetle it is.
Yeah.
It's a sort of metallic green one.
It's got a metallic green body and a metallic, like a copper coloured head. That's amazing.
Not quite sure which one
quite
that
large
is.
abdomen under its wing cases.
Look at this.
Oh wow, what have you got?
I've got a meadow brown butterfly.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It's looking a bit tatty. Its wings got a bit missing. It's the UK's most common butterfly. It's mainly brown, so it's a little bit well, they're all beautiful to look at, but it's a little bit boring to look at. It's got an orange bit to its wing. And yeah, they live in grasslands. So
and I've got a very confused looking caterpillar.
Green caterpillar, yeah.
Green one.
Yeah.
Waving its feet around.
Yeah. Some little spiders.
Oh yeah. There's a spider mite there as well, I think. Is that what that is?
Ah, yeah.
Little red spider mite.
Yeah.
Ooh, what's that?
Ooh, a little it is a beetle.
Sort of like a ladybird.
It's almost like a ladybird, yeah. It's a very small red beetle, so smaller than most ladybirds. Oh,
yes.
Oh, it's just
flown
away.
That's the thing about beetles. Yeah. They do have wings.
They do, yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Sort of, it's amazing what you can find. I just think that's the thing. So many tiny things that you would just never even know.
No, that's just it. So each patch of meadow just has so much living in it.
Yeah.
You think of the big obvious things like the butterflies. Maybe you'll see a caterpillar or something like that. But just in a small metre square of meadow, you'll just have hundreds, thousands of different invertebrates and things.
Yeah, and I bet there's even more like deep down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
in the sward. Oh, what's that?
And look, all these little solitary bees.
What's this one?
That's a hoverfly. I don't know which
one.
Very
funny looking hoverfly. It's holding its abdomen.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
pointing upwards.
So it's kind of like a orangey yellow and black stripe, like a lot of them are. But yeah, it is. It's quite long and thin, isn't it? And it's holding its
Oh.
abdomen strangely. And yeah, look, there's a little solitary bee here. It's quite a small black one. I can't remember what species that is. But yeah,
And solitary
knapweed.
bees are, just again one of those things that I think people know very little about.
No, that's right. Yeah,
But there are so many of them, and
There
they're
are.
one of the key pollinators, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they
in
are,
this
yeah.
country?
there's over 200 species of
Wow.
solitary bee. I mean, people often think of honeybees as sort of key pollinators, but actually they're not dissimilar to the cows that we have grazing here. Really, they're just they're farmed, if you like.
Yeah.
But the wild bee species are the ones that we really need to be working to help to provide habitat for and things like that.
I've noticed this year, because the ground is so dry, so many more solitary bee holes than I would normally notice.
Like
I
the
don't
little
know.
volcanoes.
Yes, like little volcanoes, the soil around tiny holes. I've just
Yeah.
noticed more of them. I don't know whether it's just because there are more, or whether it's just because it's so
fantastic.
dry. And each of those is a little bee house.
Little bee,
isn't it?
yeah, that's right.
Little bee.
I used to associate them with ivy bees, which come out in the late summer when the ivy is flowering, because they live in the ground and
do
they come out of the ground.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, obviously lots of different species do that as well. It's just they are often in such huge numbers that you really notice it that time of year. But yeah, wonderful. Oh, fantastic! Well spotted. Do you know what? That is the first one I've seen this year. A beautiful bee orchid.
And there's another one just over there as well, just a bit further away.
It's funny. And there's another one there.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah.
And one there.
And there.
When they had a really good year last year, and we had hundreds of them everywhere. And this year, the area where they were growing really well last year is really, really dry, and so we didn't see any there. And
they look quite tatty though, don't they? Because it is quite late in their season, I suppose.
Yeah. But that's hot one there. Look, that's looking beautiful.
Yeah, it is. They do just look. It's so uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah. This is one of the things. Trumpington Meadows being a new meadow, a created meadow, a sown meadow. It's not. It doesn't look like an ancient, meadow would look like. Really, it has like many of the same species and things like that have sort of grown here, but it sort of hasn't. I don't know. It almost hasn't got as much character as some nice ancient meadows do have, that have a wider range of species and things like orchids. So, things like we don't get green-winged orchids growing here, for instance, but in similar meadows elsewhere there are.
Well, I think that's because the thing I learned in the last podcast, listeners, if you I suggest going and listening to it, is that it's actually about soil preservation, and it's very hard to recreate that because you've got all the mycelial, the fungal network that's growing underneath. So all the plants at the top can look very, very nice, or you can grow a woodland on the top of any soil, and some trees will grow. But the soil and how it takes time.
It does take time,
And orchids have a fungal.
That's right, they do.
Is that right?
Yep, they do.
A fungal relationship, don't they?
I'm not so sure about bee orchids. They tend to just pop up anywhere. I'm sure they do, but I think they're less sort of fussy than some. But I think one of the things about this meadow is that it's it will not be cultivated now. It will not be ploughed. It will not be disturbed. So eventually we hope that it will become richer and more diverse as the years go on. And that is happening, but we hope to see that improve. But it is also a fantastic carbon storage if people are interested in that. People think of woodlands when they think of carbon storage.
That's right. Or even just trees.
Or trees.
Just think of trees, I think.
But meadows store an awful lot of carbon under the ground in the soils.
Wow.
So, they're very important for that as well, as long as you don't disturb them.
As long as you don't disturb them. And why is that? Do the roots go quite far down, I suppose,
the roots, So, crops that farmers grow in fields and things like that, obviously they're very sort of shallow rooted and things like that. But the roots of certain plants go very, very deep. It's
all about the soil.
Yeah, it is.
It's
very important.
Yeah. Thank you so much for showing me around this corner of Trumpington Meadows. I've never been to before, but it's really lovely over here. And I'll definitely pop over this way next time.
Please do.
I'm at Trumpington.
Thank you very much.
thank you so much to Becky for showing me around Trumpington Meadows Nature Reserve. We only visited a tiny corner of this large reserve and there are many more meadows to see, all with slightly different species to explore. I hope you can find some time to visit a meadow near you this summer, somewhere with a spot to just sit and watch the wind through the grasses and flowers and the butterflies flitting through. It's a magical thing, and there's almost certainly a meadow reserve near you. Visit wildlifebcn.org/podcast to find out more and to see a few photos I took on the day. Our meadows take a lot of looking after, and we can always do more with more funds. Find out how to donate our Wilder Future Fund to help us look after the wildlife and wild places of Beds, Cams and Northants at wildlifebcn.org/Wilder Future Fund. Anything you can donate will be so gratefully received and will go towards our vital work. A huge thank you to James Williams and Jared Wentwick for the podcast music. And finally, if you've enjoyed this episode, do like, subscribe and share with your friends and family, who can listen wherever they get their podcasts just by searching for In Conservation. Let us know what you think by getting in touch on social media at WildlifeBCN or by dropping us a line from the website. But for now, cheerio!